All right, it's 9 o'clock on this Thursday night. That means it's time for the live Zone Primetime. I'm producer Chris. This is Tony P. Thank you so much for joining us, Tony P. How's it going so far?
I'll tell you, today was a really fun day. Every minute of my schedule was packed today. And you know what's funny? Like I was going through downtown and just kind of running. I was a little late to a meeting today. But I'll tell you, the exercise was needed because I have not. Sorry.
That's okay.
Tell you, I'm sputtering. I've been working and talking too much today.
We need to bring him down. We need to bring him down.
I didn't need any caffeine today.
You know what helps? You know what helps? Look at this.
Oh,
look at this.
look at
Serenity
that.
now. Serenity
Thank
now.
you, Costanza.
That is a
Appreciate it.
live picture from Honolulu, Hawaii, coming to us courtesy of Fox right now. And you know what? Just let that wash
Goose
over
from,
you.
from
I know
management.
we're all here in Washington D.C., but listen, it could be better.
I'm dying to go. The problem is there's no direct flight.
Absolutely beautiful.
No direct flight from D.C.
Well,
I think
flights are a sore subject right now. We're going to get into that in just a minute. In the meantime, though, we do want to start off with our big story of the night, and that one hits close to home. We are talking about D.C.'s own Mayor Bowser, because a new report from the New York Times says that D.C.'s mayor is being investigated by the Department of Justice. The New York Times reporting it's all focused on a foreign trip that she took with members of her staff to Qatar. The investigation is being handled by the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., led by Judge Jeanine Pirro. The Times reports it's unclear how far the investigation has progressed, but adds it's based on potential violations of bribery and campaign finance laws. Now, shortly after this story broke, Fox 5 got a statement from the mayor's office denying any wrongdoing, saying in part, quote, "We have checked with our lawyers and the district has not been notified of any investigation. This was a business trip. DC representatives regularly travel to promote Washington as a destination for investment and growth." Shamari Stone covering this for us tonight. We'll have all the latest on Fox 5 News at 10 and 11, Tony. But
yeah,
more drama for the city, and especially on the heels of everything that happened with the summer federal surge.
I mean, part of it, when you look at, again, Mayor Bowser has been criticized a little bit, from D.C. residents about how cozy she's appeared to be with the administration and being a little more accommodating with some of the federal presence in D.C. with the National Guard. But this is a very, a really incredible story about potentially, again, is there bribery going on? But again, the mayor's office hasn't heard about it, so maybe it's just kind of a rumor. But overall, I mean, when you look at, Qatar and other governments, we are the hub of not only kind of the U.S. government, but also of international affairs. And the IMF is here, and a lot of major international groups have their headquarters in D.C. So there's a lot of investment from many governments, of course, the embassies and the residences of all the ambassadors. There's a ton of capital flowing in and out of this city. So again, this could be a potential, a mishap or an issue that's kind of miscommunication. But this would be a major development if this ended up, being a true story and a thorough investigation being done, especially with the relationship that the mayor has tried to cultivate with the administration, and that balance of the potential home rule, but also having to deal with the federal presence.
All right, well, we will stay on top of that one, of course, right here on Fox 5 on air and online. In the meantime, Tony, like you said, you've been running around all day, so we do need to get to your list of what you have been watching today.
I'll tell you, I didn't do much research today because all the notifications were just coming in all at once this morning with all the big headlines, so it made it very easy today. And we're going to start with this in terms of the SNAP payments that have been talked about all this week. A federal judge has ordered the government to deliver full SNAP payments by Friday, ruling that delaying them during the shutdown causes irreparable harm to millions of low-income households. Republicans, on the other hand, are advancing a potential stopgap funding bill set for a Friday vote, one that could reopen parts of the government through early December and could reverse some of the waves of mass federal worker firings recently triggered by the shutdown. The proposal, however, includes some policy riders with energy and some immigration ideas that Democrats call political poison pills. Continuing with the shutdown, the FAA is directing airlines to cut schedules at 40 major U.S. airports, starting with 4% reduction on Friday and possibly reaching that 10% threshold by early next week. More than 3 million travelers have also faced delays, and carriers warn of thousands of more cancellations heading into the Thanksgiving Day rush. The Supreme Court, meanwhile, has upheld a passport policy requiring sex markers to reflect birth assignment. Sorry, I had the phrase there. And in a 5-4 decision that critics say puts transgender and non-binary travelers at greater risk of discrimination in travel. In business world today, Elon Musk has secured shareholder approval for a massive Tesla pay package worth tens of billions of dollars, tied to aggressive milestones including robot taxis and at a $8.5 trillion market value target. And on Wall Street, stocks climbed for the third straight day as tech earnings beat expectations and inflation data showed signs of cooling, boosting talk of an early 2026 rate cut. On TikTok and Instagram tonight, creators are flooding feeds with the things my high-effort blank does trend. Videos highlighting funny or over-the-top habits of friends, coworkers, or partners. Also trending, the me on my way format. That sounds pretty like if you say that a few times out loud. A tongue twister. Quick chaotic clips paired with the pulse of progress audio showing everyday moments with an ironic twist. That sound has already been used in more than 33,000 videos just this week. In Hollywood tonight, Meghan Markle is returning to acting in the upcoming Amazon MGM comedy Close Personal Friends, alongside Lily Collins, Brie Larson, and Jack Quaid. Her first on-screen role in over 8 years, playing a fictionalized version of herself. And rising content creator Jake Shane is getting his own Hulu comedy series coming up based on his life as an influencer and viral podcast fame. It's pretty personal to my heart, with the pilot co-written by Broad City's Genevieve Aniello. And to end on a wholesome, uplifting lifestyle note, in Chicago, a high school junior named Marcus Johnson used his own savings to buy backpacks and school supplies for every freshman in his school. The story went viral, donations poured in, and now he's helping hundreds of students start their school year with pride and purpose. And also the Elon Musk story, that pay package at an $8.5, the billions of dollars of extra generation could make him a trillionaire within the next decade. So,
trillionaire.
Can you believe that?
I literally cannot even wrap my head.
Again, it was like, I was even kind of like, wait a minute, like, what's the
is.
target here? How many?
Okay.
This is unbelievable.
Why does he need, I mean, like...
It's, again, and the thing about it is, don't forget, he was a major reason behind a lot of the volatility in the first part of the year with the Tesla stock price.
Yeah,
Many people made a bunch of money shorting that stock because of the Doge situation and the backlash to that, the branding situation. As someone who's, branding strategy, it was a very, very tough moment for Tesla, their shareholders, and Elon Musk when he did go all in with Donald Trump and his run for re-election for his second non-consecutive term, and then also his work as a senior advisor to the president. That caused a lot of polarization and definitely a mismatch between some of the people that buy Teslas, which happen to be more kind of on the liberal side of the aisle, and then his move to be more conservative. That caused a rift in terms of people buying Teslas. And
well, there's also been a push back on electric vehicles, which
policy-wise too.
Yeah, exactly, which we'll have to see how that works out. I want to go back to the airports, though, because we've talked about this, D.C. being one of those 40 major markets that is definitely going to take a hit. And as we come closer to the holiday season, this is obviously impacting thousands of people, thousands of passengers. This is a live look from LAX right now, as a matter of fact. But Tony, we heard from Politico tonight that some of these airlines are now putting pressure on lawmakers to really get a deal done and end this shutdown, get paychecks flowing once again to air traffic control operators so that they don't have to continue these cancellations even further, possibly impacting holiday travel.
Well, remember back in the early 2010s when there was the 2013 shutdown, a lot of the pressure to get that deal done and eventually got it over the finish line was the impact to consumer and business travel. And the airlines really rattled the sabers. Is that what it was? Yeah. So did some saber rattling, we'll call it that. And they really pushed Congress and the administration, the Obama administration back then, to get people moving to pass, a stopgap funding bill. And some, analysts say back then that was a big reason why it got over the finish line, because the airlines got involved and talked about the tangible effect, because this is when it starts to hit people outside the Beltway. When things with air travel, not only are folks not getting paid and we feel bad for that, but it now affects your flights are getting canceled because of a 10% reduction, or you can't go home for the holidays because of this. It's going to start having a cascading downward effect that we talked about last night.
Yeah.
And so does this also lead to public pressure, not just the airlines or the trade groups or any of those type of folks, but is it the business travelers and the companies that travel and all the companies and businesses that have impact at the airports, whether it be through travel, what are the other restaurants? You can name the businesses.
Yeah.
So
and
this could be the part of it.
You know, and I know you said outside of the Beltway, but also think of how many lawmakers fly in and out of DCA every single day, week, month. So many that they have had to add new flight patterns. So many lawmakers have wanted direct flights back to their home districts that they've continued to add flights. And so it's, you know, once they start getting their flights canceled, then I can imagine that once it starts to impact them who are still getting their paychecks, that maybe, hopefully, we'll start to see some movement and maybe some reaching across the aisle and maybe possibly even a deal.
Well, no one should be getting paid in Congress while the House is not conducting any business. There's no movement. I think if federal workers and a lot of folks that are impacted for federal contracts or some of the issues here are getting impacted, I think the Congress should also not get paid. This is ridiculous. And overall, when you think about it, these people, again, then, you know, some of them are in gerrymandered districts where they're not motivated to respond to the needs of the people. And I think when this stuff starts to really come to a head in the coming 5 to 6 days, I think if you're going to keep being like this, at least show some sincerity and take a pay cut to zero until you get this thing going.
Yeah, and this is another one of those stories that we're working on tonight for Fox 5 News at 10 and 11. So we will have much more. Our Sharon Raget will be live. I believe the cuts start tomorrow at Dulles, DCA, and BWI. So if you have any plans on flying in or out of those airports, or you had plans to come visit here and need to be back for something, I mean, I'll just share anecdotally, we have had guests who have planned to be here on the show, not our show, but here at Fox 5, but had plans. They had somewhere they needed to be next week and were afraid that their flight was going to get canceled this weekend as a result of these shutdowns, and so they had to cancel their segment.
And the biggest thing, we talked about the holiday travel. I know we were talking to our expert the other night, where he was talking about, hey, wait 4 to 5 days to see if things get settled, but then once next week hits, if things are still in a stalemate, figure out your Thanksgiving Day plans.
Yeah, that's
maybe go to a different airport. You might get diverted, or you may have to go to, maybe there's more flight routes coming out of, an airport, a couple hours away versus your home airport, because this is going to be a game of just kind of chess and checkers, just trying to make sure you can find your way, because this is, again, going to impact so many people at a very important time. Thanksgiving coming up, the holiday season is here. It's going to be visible, and that's the thing from a strategy perspective. When it becomes visible, I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of a fervor from, I would say, individual, regular, everyday voters, not just folks in certain regions of the country.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break on that note. We're going to leave you with this beautiful shot from Honolulu, Hawaii. Hopefully bring the blood pressure down after a long day.
Yes.
When we come back, though, we're going to head to Capitol Hill and talk about the seismic shift looming. Representative Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker Emeritus, announcing today she is not running for re-election. We'll share part of her message. We'll also, hopefully, talk to one of her former senior advisors about her career and legacy. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the live Zone Prime Time. If you're watching us on YouTube, hopefully you enjoyed that beautiful shot. It's
gorgeous.
Of Honolulu, Hawaii, end of a long day, bringing the blood pressure down a little bit. A little serenity now, exactly. In the meantime, though, we do want to go from Honolulu, Hawaii to our studio here at Fox 5 up to Capitol Hill, because today there was a seismic shift, a major announcement. We learned today in a video message to her constituents, California Representative and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi announced she will not seek re-election. Take a listen.
I say to my colleagues in the House all the time, no matter what title they have bestowed upon me, Speaker, Leader, Whip, there has been no greater honor for me than to stand on the House floor and say, I speak for the people of San Francisco. I have truly loved serving as your voice in Congress, and I've always honored the song of St. Francis, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace, the anthem of our city. That is why I want you, my fellow San Franciscans, to be the first to know. I will not be seeking re-election to Congress. With a grateful heart, I look forward to my final year of service as your proud representative. As we go forward, my message to the city I love is this. San Francisco, know your power. We have made history, we have made progress, we have always led the way. And now we must continue to do so by remaining full participants in our democracy and fighting for the American ideals we hold dear. In doing so, we ensure that our city shines on as a beacon of hope, justice, and peace for the country and for generations to come.
So the Congresswoman represented San Francisco for nearly 40 years. She was not only the first woman in the Speaker's office, but arguably the most powerful woman in American politics. The 85-year-old says she plans to finish her final year in office and ended her message with a call to action to San Franciscans to carry on the legacy of agenda setting. And while the announcement was not entirely unexpected, it still marks the end of an era. But before she passes the torch to a new generation of leaders, we wanted to take a look back at her career and legacy. So joining us now live is Ashley Etienne. She is a veteran communication strategist who served as an advisor to President Barack Obama and Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She worked with Speaker Pelosi during President Trump's first term, led the team that won the House in 2018 to make her Speaker again, and Ashley also ran the opposition strategy in the impeachment war room. Ashley, thank you so much for spending some time with us here tonight on the Live Zone Prime Time.
Thank you for having me.
So,
happens to be one of my favorite subjects.
Well, I imagine it's near and dear to your heart. And I kind of want to start with what your first reaction was when you heard the news and you saw that video message today.
You know, it's like hearing that your favorite band is breaking up or is retiring. You know what I mean? It strikes you really deep at your heart. I mean, maybe I've been living in a fantasy world and hoping that it would never come to an end, but it's come to an end. And to your point, it's the end of an era. But I will say this, not only is she the most effective speaker in modern history, but also the most effective legislator. As we look at the shutdown right now, her leadership sort of rings true. She's worked with both Republicans and Democrats, Republican presidents, George W. Bush included. She didn't agree with him on the war in Iraq and fiercely defended her position on that. But she still worked with him on the biggest climate bill in our nation's history. She didn't agree with everything with President Trump, but still worked with him on trade deals. I mean, she was able to rise above petty partisanship to really force leaders to the table to do what's in the best interest of the nation. So I think that she's an object lesson in leadership, an object lesson in power, the way she wielded it with such clarity and purpose and conviction, and her deep sense of responsibility to the nation should be studied by all. I mean, you take party out of it, take gender out of it, look at it objectively, and it's undeniable that she'll go down in history as one of the greatest of all time.
When you look back at her over nearly 40 years and 4 decades, basically, in Congress, what do you think Pelosi herself, and what do you feel, being so close to her over the years, would be her greatest achievement, and then what would be the thing that she would view as unfinished business?
I would probably say it's the Affordable Care Act. I mean, you know, it was groundbreaking in so many ways. 80 million Americans were able to get affordable health care. Pre-existing conditions were no longer held against you, especially as a woman. I mean, I think that she would say is right up there with Social Security in terms of being groundbreaking legislation. And it's unfinished in that many other pieces of bills and legislation that have been passed, Social Security included, it needs to continue to be improved on. And that's what this whole shutdown really is about. It's about premiums, ACA premiums, and ensuring that people aren't paying 2,200% more in their healthcare premiums. So I think she would say that's one of her greatest successes. And then I think secondarily to that, she would say that, you know, she has really focused a lot, and we've seen the results of it, ushering more women into elected office, from the Capitol all the way to now. We've just seen Mickey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger both elected now as governors. Those were, you know, or young women that came up through the sort of Pelosi ranks that we elevated when they were in Congress. Alyssa Slotkin, who's now a senator as well. So her efforts to increase the number of women in Congress and all over the country in various elected bodies, I think she would say is one of her greatest pieces of her legacy.
So you mentioned the shutdown. Obviously, we're still in the thick of it, day 37, I believe, a record-setting shutdown. On the other hand, she's kind of going out on top because she played a pivotal role in that bill that just passed in California to kind of redistrict for Democrats, Proposition 50.
Yep.
Yeah. So are you surprised by the timing at all, or does this kind of speak to, you know, she's ready to hand things off ahead of the midterms and to a next generation?
No, I think what it speaks to is the fact that Pelosi is always 5 steps ahead. I mean, people are looking at Proposition 50 as sort of, in this moment in time. But the reality is she brought together, former Attorney General Eric Holder and President Obama to the table to look at this redistricting effort almost 10 years ago. So she's always been 5 steps ahead. So for me, this is an example of how she always is ahead of the game. Secondarily, it makes the point that she's still not done. She's still having really big impact in big ways. And so I can imagine that she's going to step down from elected office, but she won't be done with politics. I mean, her mind doesn't stop, her body doesn't stop. And so I can't imagine, and her commitment doesn't end, and she's so mission driven. I can't imagine that she really retires, but that's what that says to me. And I mean, it continues to drive this point that she continues to have really big impact.
And when you look at her overall legislative style and governing and how she was able to keep the caucus, the progressives and the moderates together on a lot of things and pass bills and really get them through the skin of their teeth, right? What do you think was the? What do you think?
She's never lost a vote.
No, she hasn't, because she always knew the numbers, the math.
Exactly.
But what else do you think made her an effective legislator? Not just getting something through, but keeping the caucus together. Because she got compared to Tip O'Neill for being very able to bring the factions together and have that one vision. So what was that one thing that she did legislatively that was so special?
Well, I think she always had a sense of the party's moral center. And so no matter what bill we were debating, what set of circumstances the nation was in, whether it's a shooting in school shootings, or if it was climate change, whatever the issue is, she would always sort of know where the moral center of the Democratic Party is and was able to sort of rally people around that. And that became the very motivation to keep the caucus together. It's how she actually kept the caucus focused moving forward. It was always centered on that moral. It was always centered on that moral compass of the party. And, we would be in the middle of these really big fights, and she would always make the argument that our power is in our unity. And what unified the party was that moral center. And she always knew where it was, what it was, and was always sort of driving toward it. And I think that's what enabled her to be so effective in really hard and good times.
Ashley, on a personal level, do you have a favorite memory from your time working with the House Speaker?
I have so many memories. I mean, the question I'm asked often is, what was it like working for Nancy Pelosi? And I sort of, I use one word, and that's intense. It was an intense experience working for her. But iron sharpens iron, and so I always wanted to be the best in the business, and I knew I had to work for the best, and she is the best, and I had to put myself in the center of the action, and that's where she always is. So one of my favorite memories, I will say, is we were in the middle, right after the Mueller hearing, and I came back. She called me back from the White House. I was working for President Obama, and I told her I would come back under two conditions. One, that she gave me the top job, so she allowed me to make history as the first woman and person of color to hold that job. But the second condition was that she would let me run the opposition to Donald Trump, and she said, "You can have it." So I just remember when I was in the thick and the throes of that after the Mueller hearing kind of flopped. I found myself on my policy director's desk with my head in my hands crying, which is a rare thing for me to do. And I remember her coming over to me saying, you've got to know your power. And if you don't know what your power is and why I asked you to come back, then you're of no use to us and you're of no use to the nation. And so that was the first moment I've ever had anybody confront me on such a profound question that really is the very essence and the core of who we are. And she made a great point, which is, if you don't know that, how can you move forward in it? And there's no other way to be successful in life than to move in your own power and to know it. And so she taught me that lesson beautifully, and I was able to watch her really elevate and kick into, a whole new series of gears. I worked for her twice, so I saw her when she was the leader, and then I saw her when she was up against Donald Trump, and it was almost like a superhero meeting the most perfect villain at the most perfect time. He kicked into a whole nother set of gears, and I was able to watch her boss up in real time. So it was that, and also just being able to watch her lead as a woman. That was very important to me, to watch her own her own power as a woman, to make this point to me consistently through her own actions, that you can be every type of woman. You can put your 4-inch Manolos and Putin's ASS, or you can be a doting wife and grandmother, and none of those women have to conflict or compromise the other. You can be all of these women at the same time. Wow. And that was just a powerful lesson for me to learn as I as I transition in life out of politics into something else. The first question I have to answer is, what is your power as I move forward?
That's incredibly profound. It really shows a testament to the mentorship that I've heard from many on the Hill, that what she has done. She really takes the time to mentor and really get that next generation up and running. My goodness, that's a really good story.
Absolutely. And I think what also makes her a good leader is that she allows people to mentor her. I think people think that she's strident and dogged. I mean, definitely dogged, but strident and sort of that she's a top-down heavy type of a leader. But she really does take, and this is to your question earlier about how she was able to keep that caucus together. It's because she was able to be malleable, to listen to the caucus, to move with the caucus, but also guide the caucus. It felt heavy-handed. Once we decided which direction we were going in, she would force the whole operation to move that direction. But before we got to a resolution, she's open, she's malleable, she's listening. And and that's what everybody respects in a good leader. And it's not just Democrats, but also Republicans. I mean, she was able to work with John Boehner to open up the government, provide him votes to do that. I mean, that's how she was able to work across the aisle. It was being an effective leader, being open and compromising. I mean, all of those things were her in her toolkit that I've watched her employ at different points.
All right.
But always in the interest of the nation. So that's what I really respect about her steeliness, her fearlessness, and her staunch commitment to the Constitution and the principles of this nation.
40 years of service, and I'm sure not necessarily going away, even if she's not running for re-election. Ashley,
her legacy lives on in the next generation of leaders. I mean,
for example,
she helped promote Jeffries, right?
Yes.
So,
Ashley Etienne, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight here on the Live Zone and sharing those memories with us. All right.
Fantastic.
Have a great night. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, Mike Thomas going to join us live and share that winter weather outlook. It might not feel like it yet, but it'll be here before you know it.
Yes, it does. It does feel a little bit cold.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the live zone prime time. We're trying something a little different right now. Tony P, take a walk with me, because as we said before we went to break, that it's starting to get a little chilly out. It may not be winter yet, but the winter weather outlook, the Fox 5 weather team's winter weather outlook is officially out. And so we're taking a little tour of the Fox 5 newsroom because we need to come find Mike Thomas, because he is standing by to talk to us about what to expect.
I think I see it.
This time around.
I see it. There's the Fox 5 newsroom, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
But this is the man of the hour. This is the man of the hour, Mike Thomas.
I like the applause out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Great introduction, Mike.
Yeah, gentlemen, welcome to my office. Yes, join me. I will come to the desk over here. This is what I'm going to nerd out with you for about 20 minutes. I was playing Tetris on the iPad.
Of course you were.
Getting ready for the schools.
And my town's up there, #1.
I know you're a Boston guy.
You already got it up there.
Yeah.
You got it in the accent.
Oh
that
my
new
God.
28
I try to
inches.
keep it down on TV. Try to.
You do a good job.
Gotta curve it.
So you ready for winter?
No.
No?
I moved here precisely for about the 20 degrees difference. Okay.
How long winter? You got to get like 600 more miles down to the south. Orlando's lovely this time.
One step at a time. When I get to my 60s, promise.
Oh, all right, retirement age. But yeah, all right. So let's go through it. All right. So today, big winter outlook, right? It's on fox5dc.com. If you want to read the whole detail, I wrote way too much, as I often do, about these things. And always such limited time to talk about it on TV. But these are last year's numbers, right? Okay, Boston, sort of in the northeast corridor, led the way there, almost 30 inches. That's around seasonal, if not a little low, up that way. Dallas, 15 inches. DC, almost 15 inches. New York City, just about 13, and actually Baltimore trailing the pack, but they still got over a foot of snow last year. So are we expecting more? Are we expecting less? Honestly, maybe around the same this upcoming year.
No big increase.
I can't give it to you this year.
What about the La Nina?
Yeah, it's the La Ninas, right? The La Ninas. Yeah. So look, summary-wise, when you talk about El Ninos, as the warmer water temperatures in the Pacific, that gives you a little bit more juice for storms. So you tend to get a little bit more snowfall. We do have a La Nina right now, but the key is fading. If it was just the La Nina without the fading, I would be much more worried that we're going to get a lot less snow this year. So La Ninas aren't, and I'll show you the numbers in just a moment here. They're not great for snow here in DC. The fact that it's fading is much better. Talking about Siberian snow, talking about East, I'm using a lot of terms here. You want to read about what all of those mean? Again, that article, fox5dc.com. We'll go through some explainers here, but I don't want to get too detailed or I'll bore you and put you to sleep.
Not me, though.
I will say, I'll give you the meat and potatoes, as they say, all right?
Well, it's Thanksgiving.
So the signals point towards a lot of swing. So we'll have 4 or 5 days where it's really cold, and then maybe we'll moderate a little bit. Interesting. Swinging patterns can be pretty good for snow, right? Because if a pattern is steady, and it's boring, it's cold every day, right? You don't have a lot of chaos. And the atmosphere likes chaos when it produces storms. So the more wavy it is, the more likely it is that we're going to mix in a little snow time to time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, let me ask you this. So, when you look at the overall, snowfall, could that volatility mean we're going to get a bunch of snow at once and then not much afterwards? Or is it going to be little periods of a decent amount?
Usually, I'd say I'm more favoring, and you kind of see it here, 1 to 3 to 2 to 4, what I would call impactful events, 4 inches plus, 4 to 8 inch snow events. I can see a 6 to 12er in the DC region. We did have one of those last year, it was 7.2, I think was our big, and believe it or not, that number I showed you, 14.9, we did that pretty much in 2 storms last year. That's all we have. We have
Mike,
one in January, one in February.
My memory of last winter was that the storms were on the earlier side as well.
Yeah, that's wrong. So it was pretty blunt. It was kind of middle of, we had one in the middle of January and one in early February.
Okay, but the ones the big ones. Past, which always seemed like they were later February.
So February is certainly a popular month for blizzards, and there's a reason.
You can just say I'm wrong. It's fine.
So you're never wrong, Chris. You're misled.
Oh, wow.
I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm giving
a hard time. So last blizzard we had in DC, true blizzard in Washington, it was about a decade ago, 2016, middle of January 21st, 2016. That was what do they call it? Snow cluster. We got like 3 feet of snow here in Washington. It was a great storm. Great storm. That was the last real blizzard we had. And usually we average a blizzard here every 7-10 years.
Okay.
I still don't like, you kind of see that we're due for a blizzard, but I still don't see any big climate signals that are saying, hey, this will be a year where one is more likely than any other year. Now, it's never zero. I mean, all you need is a couple ingredients to come together. You can get a big storm. We just missed one last year by like a few hundred miles. Sometimes it's very, very close. And I think we're going to have some close calls with that this year. If one comes along, would it absolutely shock me? No. But it's not really like what Chris is thinking of. You go back to 2009, 2010, we had a blizzard in December, and then we had 2 blizzards in February. That was a back-to-back blizzard year. Yeah, you were probably up in New England.
I was, but maybe you got some remnants of that.
Were you in Boston in 2010 when they had like 130 inches of snow?
Okay, real quick. I'm going to be the guy. Yeah, I'm going to be the guy. In 2010, how old were you, Tony Pick?
I was 12.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, listen, I was just starting to play golf, and I'll tell you, there was a lot of.
At 12?
There wasn't a lot of.
I hate to be that guy, but 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
All right. Let's do this.
I'm gonna be quiet.
Blah blah blah.
Tony P, I'm actually going to hand this off to you.
Oh, you get it.
I get this.
Now,
Okay,
that's
ready?
true power right there. Just don't do the fact that I'm wearing the sweatpants.
They look like good khakis there, man. I'll tell you.
Right. This is the behind the scenes
Right.
on the Fox 5 here. So yeah, La Nina, it's fading. Not expecting it to cause too much chaos. We think it's going to fade as the winter goes on and not play a big role. Why that matters is if we held La Nina, look at average snow, right? 13.8 inches. Wow. These are the last week La Ninas that we've had here. None of them are above average. So below average snow across the board. If we held on to weak La Nina through the course of the winter, we don't think we're going to do that. And that's why we're actually favoring above normal snow. Now, this is where things get a little bit more chaotic, right?
Dicey.
What the winds are doing. So QBO, quasi by something oscillation. Fancy terms.
I couldn't pronounce it.
Here's what you need to know. Earth rotates, right, clockwise. Winds generally blow across not just the northern hemisphere, but southern hemisphere too. Upper level winds are blowing from west to east just because of the circulation of the earth. Right. Stratosphere, you have winds that either match that, which is called a westerly QBO, where they're matching that lower level wind, or they can go
minute 30, guys. Minute 30.
This year, they're going in a more easterly direction. Why this matters is when you have that difference, it can weaken the jet stream up near the pole. Now, when you hear polar vortex and you hear strong polar vortex, you might be scared. Like, hey, the polar vortex is very strong. You might think that means, trouble for the wind. It's the opposite of what you think.
Really?
Strong polar vortex gets trapped at the pole, and the cold air doesn't penetrate this far south because it's so strong, it doesn't move much. What that QBO can do, what that weakening of the jet stream can do, is actually cause the polar vortex to be a little bit more wavy, weaker.
1 minute.
And so it's
1
easier
minute
to move. And that becomes some polar air down across the east. I hear you, Chris. We'll get back to you.
We know what's coming.
In just a moment. But that's sort of the expectations here. There'll be periods of blocking again. You want to go into the details? I go into plenty of detail on the website, fox5dc.com. Again, let me get to the meat and potatoes. We do think it's going to be an overall cooler than normal winter this year. I think this is heavily skewed towards December and January. I think February is actually milder than normal. That doesn't mean we get through snow-free, but I think it's milder than normal for February here in D.C. based on all the years we looked at with similar patterns to the one we're going to have here in Washington this year.
Mike, is it going to be a white Christmas?
Here in D.C., I get average 13.8. We're a little above that generally on the average here. Last year, 14.9. If we end up right around the same number, that wouldn't shock me at all. More obviously the farther west you go, they do average, believe it or not, 100 inches plus, and like 70 to 100 makes you go, wow.
Mike,
that scares me.
Yeah, Deep Creek Lake averages
time's up.
160.
Time's up. Is it going to be a white Christmas?
Time's up. Time's up. It will be a white Christmas, according to Chris.
Will it be a white Christmas? Still, the odds aren't in our favor, but we got better chances than last year. I'll tell you that.
Oh my goodness, Mike, with an incredible report as always. We could nerd out all night, producer Chris, but I got to turn it back to you.
Fox5DC.com for all the details. Mike will be back on Fox 5 News at 10 and 11. Thank you guys for hanging out. We're going to leave you with warm thoughts, though, in the meantime, as we take you back out to Honolulu, Hawaii. On the other side of the break, speaking of the beach, we are heading to Bethany and Dewey, and we are going to talk about the local donut shop featured in a new Apple TV Plus series. We'll be right back.
Did you want this camera horizontal, or does it matter?
Can I ask a question? Certainly. What would you like to know? How do I reverse all this?
Rest assured, Carol, we will figure out what makes you different.
Figure it out. Why?
So you can join us.
What?
So in case you don't know, that is part of the trailer for the new Apple TV Plus series, Pluribus. It's made no sense to you? That's okay. Welcome to the club. But it's getting big buzz, Tony P, because it's created by Vince Gilligan. If you don't know who that is, he's the brains behind Emmy Award winners like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Now, at the same time, it's also getting some love from the DMV region, and it's all thanks to a little cameo in one of the teasers for the show. Take a look. So those are Sandy Pony Donuts from the Delmarva area. Sandy Pony has locations in Annapolis, Bethany, Dewey, and Chincoteague. So for more on how these donuts ended up in the show, why they are getting licked, how you can lick them yourself, and more, we've got to turn to Sandy Pony founder Ben Wang joining us now live. Ben, thanks so much for joining us here on the live Zone Primetime. All right, stand by. I need to make sure we can hear you. Give me a quick count here. Let me make sure we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Perfect. Thank you. So Ben, let's start with the basics. Do you have any idea what is actually happening in that clip?
We did it in the beginning. They didn't really tell us too much, but as we went, and the teaser was released, then we started to find out more of what was really going to happen. But we had no information going forward before that teaser.
That is unbelievable. Now, like when you heard about all this and this all became, part of, the program and again, this big show on Apple TV, how did you feel about what that could mean for your business, what it could mean for, potential traffic, in the DMV and people coming to visit if the show does well?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't, honestly, this started 2 years ago when they reached out to us about it. And we just didn't think anything of it until that teaser hit, and then everybody started calling the stores. Everybody started DMing us on Facebook, Instagram, any social media. They just started blowing us up about it, and that's when it became a little bit more surreal that it was actually happening on live TV.
So do you know how this ended up, how they ended up picking you guys of all things? Was there a crew member who had been there and they were like, hey, I've got the perfect shot for this? Did Vince Gilligan ever contact you? I mean, I saw pictures from San Diego Comic-Con of them with like a donut truck, and I'm pretty sure they had boxes and boxes of your donuts there too.
Yeah, so what happened was their team from Apple TV and Sony Productions, they reached out to us just saying, hey, Vince Gilligan read about your guys' your donut shop. We had this show that he's writing. He always picks a food place, and they want to keep your name in it. This scene that they wanted in is going to be from Annapolis, Maryland, and we noticed that you guys have one of these shops in Annapolis, and we wanted to see if you guys had any interest in using your name and putting the donut shop under production. And something weird happens to people. That's all we can kind of tell you, and I just kind of left it at that. And I looked at my wife and said, doesn't matter what happens, we're in, we'll do it.
And when you think about this whole process of starting this incredible, donut group and just sweet treats, again, they're fantastic donuts, by the way. But what was the specific memory or flavor or hometown influence that made you fall in love with donuts and making them so creative and that whole craft? What was that moment for you?
That all falls to the credit of my wife. She's the one behind the scenes on all the design, the flavors, the making of the donuts. I was just more on the business side of it, and then we kind of fell into it together, and it just matched up perfectly.
I love that.
So how are you guys trying to kind of capitalize on this newfound fame and attention a little bit? I mean, obviously when the series drops tomorrow, I think your name's going to be in the front of a lot of, maybe it's in the first episode. I know we don't know. Maybe it's not.
Potentially.
But what are you guys kind of doing to kind of, play along with this?
So to start, we did collaborate and do some T-shirts, and then, which has help yourself, which is the main thing. And then we have it on the back as well. So we started with that, and we actually just started opening up our merch online, and it's been blowing up all day today. So I'm assuming it's just going to continue once the show begins. But that's all we've really done. We do some social media presence, and we have such a great following just from the locals in Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia. But this has kind of opened up a whole nother can of fans. People are calling there was a lady that called from Germany just to ask if it was a real donut shop. And asked me a couple questions. There was another guy that called today that was completely off grid in Oklahoma who has a podcast, and he was asking if I would join his podcast and if I could mail him T-shirts and donuts and whatever he could order. He was like, I'm just going to be kind of a fan about this.
That is so cool. Now I'm going to ask you kind of a more tactical question, okay? Based on the show, I'm thinking about donut etiquette the entire day today, okay? Now that scene, doing, licking the frosting only, is that even close to acceptable, or is it as bad as eating the top of a muffin and leaving the bottom of it?
Honestly, it's created this whole thing. I don't know if you saw the Comic-Con, but every person it was like the whole strategy was just to lick it donut.
Is that even normal? In your experience and your wife's experience in the business?
I've seen kids, the kids love the top frosting. They love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of a kid thing.
Right.
But no, we created this game. Our website designer kind of made this, portion just for the show on our website, and it's just for fun. And he did such a great job. His name is Vic King. He did awesome on it.
That is so cool.
But it was cool because, you know, one, they actually used our actual donuts in the scenes of the show.
Oh, wow.
Which is great. You know, it was 12 Miss Sandy's lined up in the box the way we serve it. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I felt like a little kid.
So, Ben, are you going to stay up until like midnight whenever the episode drops so you can watch it?
You know, I planned on it, but I've got 2 little kids. And, you know, even right now, I probably would be in bed already.
Oh, fair enough.
But,
Well, thanks for staying up with us.
Yeah,
One final
absolutely.
thing, small question to close out. Like,
we're looking forward to hearing from everybody.
That's good. And with this fame, with this new fame, is this going to impact potential expansion plans, you know, or potential new flavors or collaborations? Like, where do you see this going for the growth of your business potentially?
You know, I think we're just going to take it in, you know, as it comes, as we always have the last 10 years that we've been doing this business. You know, it's fun. You know, seeing everybody's joy when they eat the donuts. And carrying the box through the towns. You know, we have these teal boxes. When people are walking around town and with their kids, you know, 7 in the morning, it's the coolest thing. And it really humbles you when you know, to be on the show and get attention outside the states that we're already in. You know, I can't wait. I'm excited for it. I know it's going to be fun. And, you know, just from the phone calls from everybody, every day, every state, different countries, it's been pretty cool.
And Ben, real quick before we let you go, just where can people find your donut shops and try them out for themselves or just lick them?
So we've got Annapolis, Maryland. You know, we're right there off Route 2. And then we've got 2 spots in Bethany. We have 1 in Dewey Beach, and then we have 1 in Chincoteague, Virginia. So any of those spots, you know, I think we're planning on trying to figure out how to ship them out as well. That's been everyone's number one question because they want to have them during the show, which is kind of funny. But, you know, everybody's been ordering these cool T-shirts that we had made, and that's been really cool to see.
My goodness, what a unique experience.
I know.
Like to actually have that happen.
I love when there's unique little things in a show that really just drive home the local feelings behind it. So
it'll be a great social media trend.
Ben Skilligan keeping our name in it, you know, that was huge.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool. And, you know, I thought they were just going to change the name, use the shop, and pretty much, you know, that was it, you know, and then it just kind of built on from there. And, you know, it's been great.
All right.
I see this going viral. I do. I mean, I see this trend and like these great donuts going viral in many ways. So congratulations on all the success.
Everybody asked us if people are going to start licking.
Right. But hey, selling a donut, even if it's for the frosting.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight here on the Live Zone Primetime. Go get some sleep. Tell your family we said thank you for sparing you for a few minutes so that we could talk about this exciting news.
I appreciate it, guys. It means more than the world to be on here. And, you know, I'm going to see if I can get some donuts sent over to you guys.
All right, well,
I will not lick them, I promise.
You know Kyle Carmine is a big fan. He's the one who suggested you, so shout out to him. We know
I'll give them to him and he'll get them to you. So,
all right, sounds
wait.
good. We're looking forward to it. Thanks again, Ben.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, and just a reminder, you can catch the premiere of Pluribus on Apple TV Plus Friday, and hopefully, once that happens, Tony P, we can figure out exactly what is happening in this show. Basically, what they're saying, the few things I've been able to glean is like, basically this woman wakes up and she lives in a world now where everyone is happy and content. And she doesn't know why. She's the only one who remembers how things were before.
Right, it's kind of like not normal, but kind of it has a little bit of the negativity still in there.
Yeah,
a realist.
exactly. So
I am dying to watch this.
How it all plays out. You know how Apple TV Plus does it too. They usually drop like the first 2 episodes, get you hooked, and then they're a week-to-week release after that.
As they should. I mean, I love the combination of that. You kind of mix, you know, today's era of binge watching with appointment-based TV. I love it. And again, it's going to be so exciting.
Vince Gilligan, I mean, between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, 2 shows that I don't know if Tony P has watched. Let's put him on the spot and find out for sure.
I have watched Breaking Bad, not Better Call Saul.
Okay.
But I think I should have. I mean,
I haven't
know what
watched
that's
Better
about.
Call Saul either, but I know for a fact, and I'll name drop here, Steve Shenevy is a huge fan.
I have seen like some of his
highly
posts on
recommended,
that.
obviously, well, critically acclaimed is all you can say about it. So, a lot of excitement about that one. Tony P, we've got just a couple minutes left, 2 minutes left, so I want to see if I can fit this story in. I don't know if you saw this today, but let's listen in and then we'll talk about it.
I know you've been waiting a long time for this. The tracks are made, the songs are ready. Let's take it from the top. This is your story.
Oh, did I lose it?
Oh no! There we go.
Honor your past and embrace the future. That's what people want.
So this is obviously the new trailer for the Michael Jackson biopic called Michael, due to hit theaters in April of 2026. And, you know, just based on some of those images, some of those dance moves,
looks just like
the
him.
songs,
Wow.
Spot on.
Oh my
Spot
God.
on. Tony P, if you had one Michael Jackson song that you wanted to hear, what would it be?
Oh my God. It's kind of off the Bad album. It's off the Bad album, part of the back catalog. Leave Me Alone.
Leave Me Alone.
That is I don't know why. I love the beat to that
choice.
song. And I'll tell you, I mean, I closed my eyes and thought it was him. And Antoine
Jafar Jackson, his nephew, actually playing him in the movie.
Wow. And Antoine Fuqua, who's the director, did Training Day.
Yes, he did.
Fantastic director. He's known for incredibly.
Olympus Has Fallen.
Yes,
too,
he has.
One of my favorites. Tony, we're down to the final
sorry,
10
cinematic
seconds.
director.
No,
He's awesome.
Thanks for spending some time with us tonight. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, same time, same place. Fox 5 News at 10, coming your way next.